Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioners Clubhouse and the LCC Network. We're your hosts, Patrick and Jameson, and we are in the second half of the week now for our podcast, and we've got some great topics to talk to you guys about. Jameson, what's going on?
Hey, yeah, so I'm excited to be here for the second installment of podcast for this week. Yesterday, we did the review and recap for the previous week in Ballers and Fallers. This week, we're going to do stardoms and situms for this week and projections and predictions for a lot of the weekly matchups that we've got going on. So it's going to be a good show.
Hells yeah!
Hell yeah! Awesome. So before we jump into stardom and situm, we played a game yesterday called Slow Your Roll, where we both mentioned a player that we should slow down. I picked Mitch Trubisky, and you picked Baker Mayfield. And so today we're gonna have another one before we jump in. It's called Mr. Inconsistent. So this is a guy that fantasy owners may be iffy about from week to week because it's an up and down kind of battle with this player. So we've both chosen one. I'll let you go first if you want, and then we can move on from there.
Mr. Inconsistent, and some people, if you haven't been following him, you probably wouldn't know, but I nominated Julio Jones for my Mr. Inconsistent. Week 1, he looked amazing, 41 points. Week 2, he had 19. Week 3, 18, and then he had 40 again last week. I mean, his overall average is still 29.5 points, which looks great on paper, but that's a big jump in points. And you're talking about points that T.Y. Hilton could get you in weeks 2 through 3. And then when you're looking at 1 through 4, you see those are typical Julio Jones numbers. And I think Julio Jones is not putting up the consistent numbers this year because of the fact that Matt Ryan just has more toys to play with in the Falcons offense this year.
Yeah, Julio, he's never been a touchdown kind of guy. So you'll actually see this year to year, this kind of fluctuation in his numbers. These big games where he has a lot of receptions and receiving yards, and other games where he's kind of phased out, where he's not targeted in the red zone and things like that. So, but you're right, a lot of weapons. Freeman, Coleman, Ridley's there. Austin Hooper's looked good. So I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing trend or not, but it's definitely something to look at, and it does make it tough to count on him week to week. So, sticking with receivers, I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. So this is a guy who's been inconsistent for numerous years. Players that had him last year remember this, and now the ones who have him this year know that from week to week, week 1, 2 points, week 2, 30 points, week 3, 4 points, week 4, 39 points. So I call this the Cooper coaster, where it's up and down, except you're blindfolded. So you don't know when the peaks and valleys are coming, so you don't know when to start him. It's just kind of a wing and a prayer shot in the dark to put him out there. He's one of those players that you just hate to own, but you can't drop him. You can't trade him because nobody wants him. So it's just one of those things that he's kind of just stuck there, sitting on your bench. So I don't see it changing for him. I think this is going to be a pretty common kind of thing with him. So if you have Amari Cooper, try to move him after a big game because it's not going to be a trend that continues.
So next up, we've got the stardom situm of the week. These are guys that, it kind of explains it all really in the name. These are guys that we definitely think are worth starting regardless this week, and other guys that we're like, you sure as hell better be sitting him down because either he's just got a really bad matchup or maybe he just hasn't been performing the way he has been.
Yeah, and just to note, last week, before we move on, I do want to say that I know both of us nailed our defensive situms of the week. You had Stephon Gilmore, who you decided to sit against the Dolphins.
He just got cut too, actually.
Total points, and then it was cut by Bryson, I believe.
No, I think it was Peyton.
Maybe it was Peyton.
I don't.
Conference.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But, yes, cut after this week, 6 points last week, so that was a good call. And then I said Von Miller, who only got 4 points, so got one single tackle in the game. So I just wanted to kind of sing our praises there, and hopefully that trend continues and that we know what we're talking about with defensive players especially. So, but, yeah, if you want to jump right into it with your first start of the week, go ahead.
Yeah, so my offensive stardom of the week is Sony Michel. At the beginning of the season, it looked like Sony Michel may just fall to the wayside, but 2 weeks ago, he looked pretty good. He got, I think, 20 points in that game against Detroit Lions. Last week, 34 points, and this week he's playing against the bottom of the barrel, in my opinion, defense of the Indianapolis Colts. It looks like Darius Leonard might be out for the game. I know Clayton Gathers is a guy that's been banged up throughout the year, but he's been performing. I think this is the week that the Patriots offense really just explodes, and especially on primetime television. I think Sony Michel is a guy that you've got to plug into your offense if you don't have him in there already.
Yeah, that's I agree. At 34 fantasy points last week, and as a Sony Michel owner, I definitely like to hear that. So,
Yeah.
so hopefully he'll continue his streak. I mean, with Rex Burkhead on IR, Jeremy Hill out, it's basically just him and James White in an explosive offense. So he's got a lot of opportunity for sure. My start of the week, I'm going with Calvin Ridley. So this is a guy that I actually picked up in my other fantasy league and started last week. He 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns the week before that. He's averaging over the season 31 points a game, and this is including week 1 when he had 0 points against the Philadelphia Eagles in his very first game as a professional, and he wasn't actually involved in the offense yet, and he's still averaging 31 points a game. So he's the clear number 2 in that offense. He was my one of my waiver wire kind of guys that I wanted to pick up last week and couldn't get. And it looks like against the Steelers defense, one of the worst in the league, he should go off. I wouldn't be surprised if he went 5 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown.
And kudos to Cody for getting him off the waiver wire this week. I can't even believe he was still a free agent in that conference. That blew my mind. I didn't even know he was until that move was made.
Yeah, that was a good move. So who do you have on your defensive stardom of the week?
So it's kind of cheating, but I look at it as a tandem thing. I think it's Miles Jack and Telvin Smith. I think are instant stardoms this week against the Kansas City Chiefs. As we all know, Kansas City's offense is extremely explosive. One of these two guys is going to be spying on Pat Mahomes, and Pat Mahomes is extremely deadly with both his arm and his legs. I think Miles Jack and Telvin Smith not only have potential to get points, they got potential now to get sacks because of the spying they're going to have to do.
Yeah.
And I also think they got potential to get interceptions because of the fact that they're going to be putting everything they got on Pat Mahomes and really trying to force him to make rookie mistakes, which he really hasn't done much of so far this season, in my opinion. I think you could go either way with either one of these guys in your lineup.
Yeah, this is gonna be really good test for Pat Mahomes to see if he can hold up against any defense if he's matchup proof. But yeah, I agree. Linebackers on this defense are valuable, but also in playing against the Chiefs with Kareem Hunt's involved, or if they're throwing to Kelsey, Pat Mahomes tends to move the ball, so that's a defense that's going to be on the field a lot. So I think there's a lot of tackle opportunity. I think for both those guys, so that's good. That's a good move. So my defensive starter of the week, I've got Damontae Kazee. He's a safety for the Atlanta Falcons. Pushed into the lineup when Keanu Neal went down with the season-ending knee injury. And the last 2 weeks he's been on fire. 42 points in week 3, 50 in week 4 when he got the interception. They're playing Steelers offense, which is high octane. They're going to throw the ball a lot. It's going to be a shootout. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes 45-38, 45-42, something like that. It's going to be a high-scoring game. And Damontae Kazee should get plenty of tackle opportunities. So if you've got him, fire him up with confidence. And really anyone on the Falcons or Steelers this week just looks like a good matchup. So
yeah.
But what about your sit-ems? Who do you have there?
This one is probably a shocker, and I totally get if 99% of the league disagrees with me here. I'm going on a limb, but Saquon Barkley is my sit-em, and I wanted to pick a guy that's controversial. I wanted to pick someone that's really going to turn the heads like, what the hell are you saying? Saquon Barkley. The reason I'm saying Saquon Barkley is because if you look at his numbers, he's put up consistently in the 30s points-wise. Jacksonville Jaguars, week 1, 35 points. New Orleans, 31 points. Those are probably the two best rushing defenses they faced. And realistically, New Orleans has the third best rush defense at the moment. He still put up 31 points. But here's the deal. When you look at the Saints, they've been getting shredded so bad through the air that teams haven't had to rush the ball against them. I think Carolina is going to have the capability. Don't get me wrong, I can still see Saquon going off against Carolina, just like Alvin Kamara did. But sorry, not Alvin Kamara, Kevin Coleman against way he went off against Carolina. But no, I think Carolina has the best chance of shutting down Saquon. I really believe that. I think this is the last week Thomas Davis is out. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure.
I believe he's
but
back
I really
in the lineup this week, if I'm not mistaken. I know
if
it was a
he
4-game suspension, and they were on a bye last week, so he's out.
yeah,
Never mind.
that's what I don't get is I guess he's out 4 actual games, not 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So this will be if Thomas Davis was here, I think Carolina have a better shot. But I'm just not totally impressed with Saquon against the Panthers just because of how well I thought the Panthers did against Ezekiel Elliott. I think Zeke's a much better running back than Saquon, so I could definitely see Carolina making Saquon fall down into the 20s instead of the 30s.
Man, it's definitely bold. Like you mentioned,
that is bold.
The model of consistency.
Yeah.
35, 33, 35, 31. I mean, 4-point difference in 4 weeks. And even when they're down, he can't be game scripted out. He's kind of like Todd Gurley. Even when they're down, he catches he caught 15 cat passes in week 2.
Yeah.
I think.
But here's the thing. Ezekiel Elliott, who's been a beast, only had 26 points against Carolina. Only 26. That's why I truly feel, and to me, their playing style is very similar. They have both the same kind of capabilities running up and down the field. They can run it inside or outside. I really think Carolina can keep into that. Don't get me wrong, 20-something points for a running back is still a great game in this league. I'm just saying I really think his production and his ability to get points is going to fall off this week against Carolina.
Man, that is bold. I mean, Carolina's the not even one of the better defenses they've faced with regards to rush. It's kind of a middle of the road this year. So that is definitely bold. I think his ability is to catch the ball help him not get game scripted out. But that's bold. We'll see what Saquon Barkley owners do this week and how that comes out.
No,
but if he does flop,
they're definitely not going to bench your running back. But
no, you can't bench him. But if he does flop, I will be the first to get on here and say congratulations, because that is a very, very, very bold prediction. So
yeah,
my offensive sit-em of the week, no surprise here. He should be out most lineups. He probably should be dropped by now. Is Kenyon Drake. He's been really inconsistent the last 2 weeks. 2 points, 8 points. He got out-touched by Frank Gore last week, for goodness sakes. He's not dynamic. He's not a hard runner. He's not a great catcher. He's in an offense that's anemic.
I've jumped off the bandwagon for Kenyon Drake. I'm no longer on that bandwagon.
No, yeah. And you talk about a guy that can get game scripted out. Kenyon Drake is the definition of a guy that gets game scripted out. There's just nothing about him. He's not a goal line back. He's not a catching back. He's not quick. He's not strong. There's nothing about him that makes me want to own him. And so I think he should be dropped, but he definitely should be sat this week.
No, I definitely agree.
Who are you looking at for your defensive sit-em of the week?
Yeah, so after scoring 50 points last week, you might think I'm crazy with this one too. Jared Davis is my defensive sit-em for this week. Jared Davis had 50 points against the Dallas Cowboys. He had 9 tackles, 2 assists, and a forced fumble. But here's the deal about Jared Davis, and Cameron can probably speak for him, because I know he has him, and Colby has him in the other conference. He's only had 30-plus points against top 5 rushing opponents. And I'm talking about teams that are pounding the rock like the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. They played New England in week 3. Man only had 4 tackles and a pass defended. Week 1 against the Jets, 3 tackles and an assist. They're playing against Green Bay this week. He was the 19th best rushing offense. I really don't see him scoring even 30 points. I really think he's going to be in that 20-something point range, unless he can force a turnover against Aaron Rodgers. I really don't expect that same kind of production from him in week 5.
Yeah, no, I can actually get on board with this one. this is a game I think there's going to be a lot of throwing the ball. They're both going to be playing, it's going to be a shootout. I don't think defense on either side is going to be good. And so middle linebackers in those sort of games don't tend to perform as well. Because like you mentioned with Jared Davis, he only plays well when they're playing rushing teams, when he stacks the box and he plugs the holes and he gets the tackles. Some people might look at some of the games he's played against Green Bay last year, where he had 51 points in week 17 and 29 points in week 9 against Green Bay, and say, oh, what he saw against this team. But that was the Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers with Deshaun Kaiser, the dump offs,
Right.
the running game. So no, I agree. I don't think Jared Davis is a strong play here, and if you've got other options, fire him up. So my guy that I'm looking at this week is Marshawn Lattimore, kind of for some of the same reasons we mentioned with Jared Davis, is that I think he's going to be game scripted out. They're playing the Saints are playing the Washington Redskins on Monday Night Football, where Drew Brees is going for the passing record, which is awesome. I can't wait to see that. But Marshawn Lattimore is a cornerback. He's not even a safety, so it's not like he's going to play in the box and stop the run. And Alex Smith is a quarterback who tends to throw the ball short to tight ends. So to Jordan Reeds, and then Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson's going to have a major game. He's going to dunk the ball off to Chris Thompson. I don't see him going deep to his receivers or anything where Marshawn Lattimore thrives. So I don't think this is a game where he can really light it up for you. So I'm gonna have him on the bench in any league that I win him in.
All right. So moving forward, we are going to review realistically all of the games, but also the game of the week, which the advertisement for that's been up on the website for at least a day or two at this point. We've got some great games ahead of us. We'll save game of the week for last. We'll get to that one last, so we don't take up all the other time that we have left on the show tonight. Let's start out with the Top Shotters Conference, Jameson, and the and Abortion Clinic versus Vegetarians. I think that's David versus Storm in that game.
Yeah, it's tough to. I don't think David's had his lineup set yet, so it's tough to get an accurate assessment of projections. But he's definitely favored, even with not having a quarterback in the lineup. He's already higher. He's got Kenny Vaccaro in the lineup too, who's actually going to be out this week. So I think once he makes some changes, it might look even stronger for him. But Storm's coming off a big win last week, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Storm's got Andrew Luck, who should light it up on Thursday Night Football. Michael Thomas, who should have a great game catching Drew Brees' record passes at home on Monday night. So maybe Storm can keep up with him, but David's definitely favored in this game. And
last year, both these teams split their series. Abortion Clinic won the first game 291 to 199, and then the next game in week 9, Storm ended up winning 195 to 150. So both games were realistically pretty much blowouts. We'll see if this one's any better of a matchup than the previous two when they played each other.
Yeah. So what's our second matchup in the Top Shotters Conference?
Yeah, the second one is Daquan Primetime Players versus the Afternoon Delights. That's Jordan. Traditionally, this is a great rivalry game. It's always been a good game or a good series. Although Jordan owns the series 9-3, this year it looks like if there's a year where Daquan has a chance to sweep Jordan, it's definitely this year. Jordan is 1-3. His team has been extremely subpar, while Daquan, on the other hand, has been lighting it up and has looked absolutely brilliant so far this season. And they've already played each other once, actually. Just realized that. They played each other week 2. Daquan won 310 to 244. So Daquan's got a chance right now, in my opinion, go ahead and win his division. If he wins this game, I mean, mathematically, he obviously hasn't won the division, but you might as well put it on there. Daquan, top shot of South Division champion 2018. This is a must win.
Yeah, it definitely puts him in the driver's seat for sure. He's projected to win this game by at least probably 30 points or so after Jordan sets his lineup. And his defense looks like it's going to have a monster week. I mean, he's got J.J. Watt, Bobby Wagner, Bradley McDougald, the cornerback for Seattle, and Harrison Smith, along with Aaron Rodgers. So his team looks like it's going to be stacked. And Jordan's got a couple key players on bye, like Quan Alexander, and then Sammy Watkins was hurt, and Jarvis Landry's questionable. So this might be a little more uneven than all of us are hoping for. We might not be able to watch the best matchup. So what's our third game in the conference?
third game is Charles, the third leg versus Hunter of Champions. That's Hunter. Charles, this is one of his worst seasons of the year. His team looked really good at the beginning of the year, I thought, at least. Hunters has a chance to possibly take a 2-game lead over Matt in his division. Charles, this is a must-win for him just to even have a chance at making into a wild card spot, let alone the division. I think it's pretty much already written off for Charles. I really don't think he has a shot if he wins this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, 24-point underdog. Hunter Champions has got Matt Ryan in that Pittsburgh Falcons matchup that I'm so excited to see. And, of course, Julio and Golden Tate had a big week last week, and he shoot against Green Bay. So Hunter Champions has a great offense. Charles, a little stronger on defense with Miles Jack and Luke Kuechly. We talked a little bit about those, a little bit about Miles Jack earlier. But he's got Amari Cooper, one of those Mr. Inconsistents we talked about. So it definitely looks like it favors Hunter right now, heading toward the end.
Let me jump back to the previous game real quick. One thing I forgot to say earlier, Daquan has never beaten Jordan in back-to-back games, meaning he's never beaten him consecutively. If he does, this will be the first time in his franchise's history that he's ever done that against Jordan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably going to happen eventually, so maybe this is the season.
Yeah. All right. So next up,
we've got Matt and Michael.
Oh, God. This might be the toilet bowl of the year up to this point. I mean, Michael's team has just been god-awful. Last time these two teams played each other was in week 2 of this year. Matt put a beat down on him, winning 283 to 193, almost a 100-point difference. I could see the same thing happening again. Michael's team looks like, honestly, if not the worst, one of the worst teams in the entire league.
Yeah, Matt's favored pretty heavily over Michael, and it doesn't look like it's going to change even after he sets his lineup. But Matt hasn't been the strongest team this year either. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, some of his key players, Kareem Hunt, he's got a pretty tough defense there. And then you've got a couple other guys, Dante Jackson is playing the Giants. That might be a favorable matchup, but Clayton Geathers is questionable against the Patriots, and that's a short week, so he might not play. So we'll kind of see how that goes for Matt, but he's definitely favored against Michael.
Last year, Michael swept Matt, actually. So I know Matt definitely wants to win this and get payback against Michael, because no one wants to get swept by Michael. No one wants to get swept by Michael. So, next up, we've got a really good game, in my opinion. Steel Curtain, that's Cody, who's 4-0, playing against Mufasa Moneymakers. That's Mafali, who is 2-2. He's 0-2 in the division. This is a big game for Mafali. He's got to get it together. He's never, ever beaten Cody before. They've played each other 5 times in their short history of being in the league together. Cody's actually outscored him total in the entire series, 1,190 to 1,008. This is Mafali's. I know Mafali wants to get him eventually, but this is going to be they played each other in week 3. Steel Curtain barely won the game, 309 to 306. Mafali has the capability of winning this game. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, he's favored by almost 30. So that's definitely a good way to start. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but it is a good indicator of what the perception of his team is. So, 281 in projections, that's a pretty strong week. He's got Tom Brady, who should have a good Thursday night game. David Johnson looks like he's finally alive. And Julian Edelman's coming back. So he looks like he might be in pretty good shape this week. So last game in the Top Shotters Conference, we got Mr. 300 Colby against Secure the Pound Kevin. And a game that is fairly close in projection, but Colby is probably favored, I would imagine, once he sets his lineup.
Yeah, Colby hasn't lost since week 1. These two teams have actually never played each other, and somehow Secure the Pound is 2-2. He's on a 2-game winning streak. I really didn't think he would be in a position like this, but he's got a shot at pulling off a huge upset and going on a 3-game winning streak, which is probably the longest he's ever been on.
Yeah.
So he's definitely got a shot to shock the league this week in week 5.
Yeah, yeah, he didn't have the best season last year, so it's good to see him kind of recovering and being a little more kind of active and whatnot this week. So awesome. So I guess on to the Elite 12
Yeah.
conference. What game do you want to start with?
Yeah, well, let's start off with a good divisional game. We got Protect the Booty, that's Tyler, going up against Game of Jones, that is Kyle. Neither team has ever played each other before. Tyler is on a 2-game winning streak, 0-1 in the division, and Kyle is on a 3-game losing streak. He upset Cameron week 1, hasn't won since. This is a big game for the reigning Elite 12 conference champion. Both teams really need to win this game to have a shot at winning the division.
Yeah. Kyle definitely needs to get back on track here. These are two teams that they don't really have a lot of history against each other. So we'll see what happens. Two high flying quarterbacks and two pretty good running backs, Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon. So definitely offensive, kind of philosophies with both these teams. So it'll be interesting to watch them play each other, especially trying to pick up a division win.
Yep. Next up, we have another big divisional game. This one's becoming a pretty good rivalry. We've got the 1-3 Buck Your Mother, that's Isaac, versus the 2-2 Eastside Brawlers, that's my dad, John. Isaac got his first win of the week, first win of the season against U Jameson last week. Both teams are. Let's see. Isaac is leading the series at 3-2. My dad won week 2 of the season, 272 to 242. So if Isaac loses this, the chances of him winning the division drop significantly because he's being swept by none other than Eastside Brawlers.
Yeah. This is going to be a big game for both of them. Divisional game. I think it's going to be a really close game, especially with your dad pulling it out earlier this year. Isaac's definitely got to show up. His team did last week, but based on how he's done the first 3 weeks, we don't really know if that's a fluke or if that's going to be more of a common occurrence. So we'll see what happens. But I think if I had a bet, I'd probably put it on your dad for this week. But it's going to be really, really close. I wouldn't be surprised either way.
No, for sure. Next game, or we'll skip the game of the week for quick and jump to the next one. Abusement Park versus the Spurs. This is a good divisional rivalry game. Cameron leads the series 2-0. Cameron is on a 2-game losing streak, sitting at 1-3. He's 1-1 in the division against Peyton, who is 3-1. Also 1-1 in the division, is on a 2-game winning streak. This is a big time game. Peyton definitely wants to get revenge from being swept by Cameron last year. This is kind of a in-house rivalry for both of them, both going to Lander and roommates over there. So this is a big time game for both of them in terms of bragging rights.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, not only does the winner get to brag online in the group text, but they also get to brag in the room, which can be a little frustrating, a little annoying if you ever play fantasy football with someone you live with. So or a close friend or a brother or something like that. So so it's a big divisional matchup. Cameron's 1-3 right now. He needs to get back on track. Peyton's team looks really strong. Like we mentioned, a lot of young talent on that team. So I think Cameron's favored right now, but I'm not sure how much of that has to do with that'll kind of adjust as the week goes on. How much that has to do with matchups or what have you. So we'll see how that one plays out.
All right. So the next matchup is a big. Honestly, I've low key the game of the week, and at least in our conference, I really like this matchup, but it's not game of the week. Cards fan, that's Mike sitting at 3-1, 1-1 in his division, versus Jade, the Terrible Towels, who's 2-2 and undefeated in the division. This is a big time game for Mike. He's already surprised us by first of all winning 3 games and beating our expectations, but has a shot to really solidify himself by upending our only Hall of Famer in the league at the moment.
Yeah, and it's super close in projections. I think Mike's got this by 4 points, maybe, which in this league is nothing. So this is basically a pick 'em. There is no favorite in this matchup at all. Throw darts. If that's more accurate, this is going to be a close game, and it is going to be a big divisional matchup. So we've got a lot of divisional matchups this week. It's going to be a lot of fun in both conferences.
if Mike ends up losing this game, he falls 0-2 to Jade, which basically means the rest of the year he's going to be trailing Jade significantly for the division.
Yeah.
And none of us saw more than one team making the playoffs in that division, so this is really important.
Yeah.
The other game we got going on is yourself versus Bryson, who's 0-4. You're 2-2. You're in a 2-game losing streak, man. How does that feel?
Like crap. Pretty much like you did. I've had two bad my defense. Hopefully it gets back on track. This is one of those games that you're either going to get back on track or it's a trap game where, I get beat by 50 points. So we'll see. I don't want to talk too much trash in case I, don't show up this week or anything, but I feel good about it. Bryson, he made some moves with the waiver wire and free agency. So he's definitely taking this seriously. He definitely wants to win. But he's a rookie, so I can't let him have that. So hopefully I'll get out of this with a win.
All right. So next we have saved the best for last, the game of the week. That is, and trust me, there's no bias in this pick. All right. This just happened to be one hell of a matchup for both of us. Myself, Roebuck Leprechauns versus Billy, who is the Detroit Bad Boys. I'm 4-0. First time ever I've been 4-0 against, again, Billy, who's 3-1. This right here is a huge game. We're both 1-1 in our series. I beat him the first time in 2016 in week 7. He beat me last year in week 9, 300-267. So this is going to mean something right here. We're both going to be coming out swinging. I honestly think he's got the edge. I've got a couple big time injuries that I'm having to deal with this week, which pretty much sucks. But you keep on moving, no excuses. Definitely going to win.
Yeah, this game could easily be one that determines playoff seeding down the road. I think, like high playoff seeding down the road. Billy just looks absolutely dominant. We talked about it yesterday, ballers and fallers, basically anybody on his team. He's one of the strongest 3-1 teams I've ever seen that I can remember. So it's going to be an uphill battle. Once he sets his lineup, he's going to be favored by about 10 or 12 points, which again is not a ton, but you always feel better going to that week when you've got more projected points than your opponent. So that's going to be a good game. I think we're all looking forward to it.
Oh no, for sure. First of all, I forgot what percentage of teams who've gone 4-0 end up making the playoffs. I think it's 80-something% or 90-something% in our league's history. So I'm feeling good. I know Billy's feeling pretty good, although this is probably a bigger game for him than it is me, because if Peyton wins, he loses. He falls to second in the division. And with Peyton sweeping, or I guess not sweeping Cameron, but yeah, I mean, this is a big game.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So that kind of wraps up all of the projections, predictions, weekly matchups. So how do you want to end the show here? We got some news and notes.
Yeah, news and notes. I'm gonna go. We weren't planning on doing it, but because I got a text message so late and it literally almost made me laugh on the microphone when I was reading it. It's the trash talk comment of the week comes from none other than my brother, probably the master of trash talking in our conference, or at least the one that does the most of it. Cameron's comment was, "Peyton, you're my bitch when it comes to fantasy." Enough said. # Spurs up.
he's that.
Yeah, that comes from Cameron. So hope you're listening to this, Peyton, because Cameron's coming after you. No, the other big news is, for those of you that haven't noticed, right now we are going through a nomination process for the Player Hall of Fame in fantasy. So we're nominating actual players, NFL players, that have played and retired from either after the fall of 2010 and up until right before the fall of 2016. We're really wanting guys who have been fantasy relevant. Calvin Johnson, Peyton Manning are two big names I can think of off the top of my head that probably definitely deserve to be nominated for the Hall of Fame, or will more than likely get in. But again, this goes towards the owner Hall of Fame, which is based off a point system, and players are worth so many Hall of Fame points to get in. Some of you guys are getting pretty close to getting the Hall of Fame. I know Jade's laughing at all of us right now because he's the only one there and he's been out a whole year. So this actually means something. I encourage everyone to definitely get involved and nominate guys that they truly feel like are Hall of Fame caliber players.
Yeah, some of the a couple of the players that are eligible: Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, just to name a few. So definitely look that over, get involved. I just wanted to mention one quick note, real quick, before we wrap up. Eric Berry has been activated by Isaac on his roster. He picked up Kenny Vaccaro, who's got the injury, and put him on IR. So maybe he knows something we don't. If Eric Berry's coming back, close to returning. I know Peyton just dropped him like last week, so. So I guess we'll get more info there. But like I said, if you make moves while we're on the show, I will call you out on it, and we will talk. I just thought that was interesting. We'll see if he gets in the lineup here in a couple weeks. But I think that's all we have for tonight, Pat.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, man, I've enjoyed it. All of you listening, definitely keep giving us feedback. The more feedback you give us, the better we can make this show, and the more we can all enjoy it.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll be back next week with our first show, and until then, good luck with all the games Thursday, Sunday, Monday night.
Yeah. Deuces.